In a scene more fit for historical epic than real life, on Monday morning, a man wielding nothing but a bow and arrow crossed Nairobi's heavily guarded Dennis Street Road and, to the stunned belief of a nation, fatally shot a police officer just outside the gates of State House.
National security breached, not by bullets, not by bombs, but a primitive weapon, for lack of a better word, that was used during our ancestors' era.
In this report, Vera Mora peels back the layers of a security lapse that has rattled the very foundations of the country's protective forces and ignited a national debate on just how safe the center of power really is.
30-year-old police constable Ramadan Mataka, a man trained to guard the nation's most powerful, was killed by a 55-year-old assailant, Kithuka Kimunye, armed with nothing but a bow and arrow. The scene, State House, Nairobi, a place where security is supposed to be impenetrable, and yet one man managed to breach it. No guns, no bombs, just a handcrafted weapon from the old age era. And when I say elite, I mean an officer from the G company supposed to be wearing a 5-gear compact and carrying tactical weapons. And so we ask, was the officer wearing protective gear? And if not, why? Were there officers present at the time, and what actions did they take? How did the assailant manage to approach such a heavily guarded facility undetected? And if you were wondering whether the eyes that never blink were functioning, at least according to our sources, there are 360 all-round CCTV cameras in the State House stretch. Before the gate, there are several armed officers manning each roadblock. The sanctity is manned by between 4 to 6 officers, and the waiting bay is manned by 4 officers. With approximately 16 officers stationed at Gate D, how did a lone assailant manage to approach, load a bow, and fatally shoot the officer without being intercepted? How long did the entry sequence from the suspect's approach to the fatal shooting actually take? Did any officer attempt to de-escalate or neutralize the threat before the shot was fired? What protocols are usually in place for threat detection, and if any, why did they fail in this instance? Security observers warn that lapses of this nature are too grave for the country to ignore, but it's not the first time State House has had unusual visitors. In June 2020, a 15-year-old boy slipped past guards into State House, Nairobi, claiming he wanted to seek assistance, showing a lapse in security measures. In 2017, a man was shot dead by the palace guards in the State House after he had breached the perimeter's fence and attempted to get into State House grounds. During President Daniel Arap Moi's era, Kenya witnessed one of the most bizarre security breaches in the State House history. In December 2002, a man named Onyango Mono, claimed to be a pastor, managed to sneak into the heavily guarded State House, Nairobi, armed only with a cross and a sword. He reportedly entered the compound unnoticed and spent the night outside the president's office. When questioned, Mono calmly explained he had come with a message from God, instructing President Moi to hand over power immediately. More questions arise. Why did Kimunyi opt to use Gate D? Apparently, all visitors and State House staff use the well-manned Gate D. Gate A is used by the president, cabinet secretaries, ambassadors, diplomats, and the heads of states. Gate B, largely unused. C is mainly used by large delegations, as it goes straight to the State House ground, used for hosting large gatherings. Presidents are typically the most guarded individuals in their countries. Kenya's presidential security is in 3 layers. The National Intelligence Service is at the forefront as it gathers information, analyzes the data, and predicts trends. The Presidential Escort Service and the G Company, all drawn from the General Service Unit GSU, move with the president, aided by the Kenya Defense Forces. Kenya Police offer ground support in terms of general on-site, surveillance, and crowd control. And even in State House, we expect security isn't watching them. They are watching security. In other words, security is under the watchful eyes of these players. So we ask, what failed? Was it technology, human error, or complacency? Vera Mora, KTN.
All right, want to take